Hello everybody and welcome back to Animal Crossing City Folk. It's a nice little evening video today. I'm probably going to spend most of it talking about a mobile game I've actually been playing most of the day, ignoring other responsibilities, like recording until now. And that is Star Ocean Animosis, I believe is how its name would be pronounced. It is actually a really good mobile game. I am impressed with it. It controls like you would expect to a point. Like its battles are very much like the modern Star Oceans. Really like any Star Ocean, just 3D graphics. And what I say is how it controls as you'd expect to a point is it does have an auto battle button. And that can be great if you know you're going to win something, but there is actually significant benefit. I don't know if we have this type of moth. Where's the bug net? Pretty sure we have a moth, but... Okay, it's just a regular moth. I thought that was a different type of moth. Okay, and now that's going to be at the beginning of our inventory. Got it. Whoops. Wouldn't have mattered if I would have left that hole there, but... But, like, what I mean by there's a significant benefit to not auto-battling is if you're auto-battling, you can still activate skills, but usually the AI will overrate what you've done with its own auto-command if there's, you know, it doesn't see a reasonable reason to be using the skill. But comboing things like your basic attack into a skill, into another skill, gives you a damage increase. Oh, Mott wants something. Moving out, buddy? So, Dumbbell, you have a moth, right? No. I don't know, it doesn't really seem like your style. You want to trade it? See, I got this siphon that would instantly make you look more awesome. A trade like that would do us both a favor. Sure. Give me the siphon. Take the moth. I don't need it. Really wish you would just dislike me and move out already, Mott. Whoops, I did that again. And, like, the damage bonus increase isn't small, either. Like, it starts at 50% more damage. Then pushes up to 100% more damage. To then, I'm assuming, 150% more damage. I don't have a character I routinely use myself that has 3 skills currently. The one I currently mostly use has 2 skills. I have a character in my party that has 3, I just don't use them that often, because I just like using the character I've got. Oh, pockets are full. Drop it. Drop the individual coin. Oop. There we go. There we go. Let's at least swap those around. That's the siphon, right? Yeah. So those 3 things I can get rid of. Because I'm pretty sure we already have that gyroid. I'm going to take a peek around for more dig spots. If I don't find any more, I'll just go to Nooks. But yeah, not sponsored at all by that game. Oh, hey, it's the spaceship part. We don't need it anymore. We have another one now. It's another gyroid. That, a mini decoid. That, I'm pretty sure, is new. So we'll take that over to Brewster in a little bit. Just still checking around more of the town. Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't need to say not sponsored, considering I don't even have 200 subscribers yet. But I know there's a chance in the future I might actually be a decent size, and then it would matter if I said that this is not sponsored. Love to be. I'd love to give props to good games and get paid for it. But I'll just stick with giving props to good games and not getting paid for it. Like Animal Crossing. If you like this series, go buy the game. Buy a Wii, used Wii, buy the game. It'll have to be used. All of it'll have to be used. It's a Wii. And it's a Wii game. Like, this is how Wii games work. Sadly. That is one thing I kind of wish the games industry would do. Is not stop making something. Like, maybe stop putting it on store shelves. I can see that. But, like, say, if you wanted to go out tomorrow and buy an NES and an original NES and a original Legend of Zelda cartridge, you're gonna be paying a lot of money to get that original NES working and an original copy of The Legend of Zelda. I suppose you could just go on like the Wii U's eShop and buy it there. But if you want the authentic experience... Another gyroid. This is a Mega Rustoid. Pretty sure we don't have one of those yet either. We have 2 fossils to take over to the museum anyway. So, but yeah, like, you're going to be spending a lot of money on that. And there are people who will pay for the used NES and the copy of Legend of Zelda. That is money Nintendo could be making. They're just not. Because they're not manufacturing the NES anymore. They likely don't even have the documentation for making the parts for an NES anymore. I mean, it might be locked in the vault somewhere and no one knows how to get into it. Like, you know, for like making those original parts. I mean, it would be really nice if you could just go to like Nintendo's website and buy a brand new NES made, you know, to order kind of thing. And, you know, just whatever Nintendo game you want. Or do the same thing with, like, the original PlayStation or the Xbox. Or even, like, something like a Game Boy Color. You know? That would be nice. That would honestly probably almost kill emulating overnight. Like, there would still be some for people that just can't afford it. Like myself. But for the most part, a lot of people who emulate just do it because you can't get these games anymore. Or you just can't get that game in your region, which would be another thing that would be amazing, is if companies would start hiring people who do these fan translations to do translations for them. I'll start with the Mega Rustoid, because I don't know if we have one here or not. Okay, we already have one here. I mean, think of, like, the Mother 3 translation. Whoop, I accidentally hit the... Yeah. I'm pretty sure the people that behind that have already offered it to Nintendo for free. And they've just gone, nah. Nah, we don't want it. The West wants Mother 3. Nintendo just doesn't want to give it to them. I think because the fandom went and translated the game before Nintendo wanted them to. Like, so they're just being huffy about it now. But like for myself, there's a lot of Fire Emblem games that I would love to play official versions of that were just never released. Like, there is a sequel to Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon on the DS. It is an amazing sequel. You can't play it in North America unless you emulate it with a fan translation. Like, that exists. You can do it. I've played it that way. I've also played it in Japanese. I did that first before I even found the translation, and I replayed it with the translation. It's that good of a Fire Emblem. Like... I don't know, well, I know why it was never released here, and that's because people didn't like Shadow Dragon for whatever reason. I don't quite get why. It was a solid Fire Emblem in my opinion. Yeah, it was a remake of Marth's Tale. That wasn't a secret. I don't even think we had that game in the West. So, I mean... The reclassing was a neat idea. I actually liked how they did it in Shadow Dragon and its sequel, where you could change a character's class, sure, but their level stayed the same. None of this BS from Awakening and onwards of reclassing infinitely to max out stats, turning the games into just grind fests. Yes, I hate Fire Emblem Awakening and everything it did to the Fire Emblem series with a passion. And now I've just gone... I went from talking about a good game to talking about a, in my opinion, very bad game. I have still yet to finish Fire Emblem Awakening because it's such a slog. An unfun slog. I mean, it probably doesn't help me, anyway, that I got into playing Awakening after having just finished the DS duo of Fire Emblem games. So I could see the mechanics that were carried over and how they were broken. Like, well, once again, the reclassing. There's not a whole lot of point into putting thought into what you're going to reclass your character into when there's no reason to not reclass them. They gain more permanent skills for you to swap between as possibly needed, and they gain more stats. Their stat gains never stop until they reach the cap for whatever class they're playing at. You have them as. I think this is a new fish. Woo woohoo! Caught a king salmon! All hail the new king! Me! Sweet! New fish! So we'll actually have a donation for the museum. I might... I think I know what I might do when my girlfriend gets here. I might do a new City Folk series of the two of us. Because there's not going to be really anything left here to do. So, yeah. That is if she even wants to take part in the series. She might not. It is, you know, it's just more of a... It's more of just a vlog series, if anything. But, yeah, the reclassing in Awakening is part of what just kind of broke that game, and subsequently broke basically the series. Another thing, and I know I've talked about it before, and the reclassing, I know this is just me repeating the same thing again, is the pairing of units together. You basically, in doing it, and this is something a lot of people don't seem to get. Because, like, when I've brought it up to people, they're like, oh, well, it's still just as challenging of a game. No, it isn't. Because, A, you're giving yourself a % chance to just take 0 damage, no matter what. Like, that is ridiculous. Now, they did try to balance the system out. I will give them credit. Credit where credit is due. They did try to balance out the system. But the old system just worked. Like, okay. Say you're going into a battle with 12 units in, say, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. If you have a full 12 units you want to use, you've got to manage that full 12 units. That means a lot of times you're going to be, out of necessity, leaving a vulnerable unit exposed. If you didn't manage things properly, or reinforcements show up. Awakening, 12 units? Oh, you mean 6. You mean 6 units. A very small group. And the maps are huge. Like, they're really big. And you have half the number of units it tells you have when you enter battle. Because the first turn for half of your 12 units is to join up with your other half. Even if you're just using, DLC heroes and they can't actually build support with each other, you may as well still pair them. You're still getting more benefit than you're losing for not pairing them. Like, even if you only have, like, say, a 20% chance of getting an extra hit and a 10% chance of taking no damage whatsoever, that's still 1 in 10... Oh, is it, yeah, 1 in 10 hits is just negated. 0. And 1 in 5 hits is 2 hits. When you compare that to the fact that you're getting a lot of... It's going to take a long time to get through a lot of these stages. You're getting a lot more benefit from... I'll just go to the museum now. You're getting a lot more benefit from being paired up than having your units separate. Especially where, this is a thing to note about every Fire Emblem game, a lot of maps have choke points, where you can put 2 to 3 units and have them block an entire passage that the enemies are going to come down. You want less units. Usually in older games, you would have basically fighters in front, mages and archers in back, and you would still have 6 units there fighting, 4 to 6, but, they would all be separate. And also, you would never really be getting that big of a benefit from having them have high support with each other. It was mostly for aesthetic flair. Ah, King Salmon, yes quite. Ooh, quite impressive. This one put up quite a fight, I should think. Not really. The regal king salmon dwarfs the lesser salmon with an overall length of up to 60 inches. Its size makes catching it with a net difficult, so most people rely on a fishing rod to catch the king. Ooh, all that aside, I have your gratitude. Hooray! We only had one thing, but hey, it's still something. And I feel like I should take this moment to note that I know I've brought up these arguments about Awakening before, and how much I hate the game. And I want to say here, because I don't remember if I said last time, if you like Fire Emblem Awakening and the modern Fire Emblem games... Melee wants to talk. Hey, if this is my good friend Steven. Do I see that you actually have a sea bass duckling? That doesn't suit your style. Let me help. Yeah, sure. Sure, have it. Yeah, if you like the games, power to you. I really wish I could see what you see, because I want to like them. I just can't. I've tried so hard. And, oh, it's too late. I can't sell them now. Nook's just closed 2 minutes ago. Don't believe me? Okay, I suppose it's closer to 4 minutes on the clock. Keep forgetting the Wii keeps switching times up. That's probably why I assumed it was still earlier than it was. Wish you could sell things at the Able Sisters. Or at Red's. That would be pretty neat. Just pawn stuff off on Red? That would give the city a pretty good use. But I guess we may as well head home, and we'll be heading to, Nook's immediately tomorrow. At that, or I'll just fill my basement with fish. But yeah, I'm probably going to, at some point even soon, go back to playing at Awakening. Because, and I'm going to sit down to tell this, I did find the way I personally can have the most fun with that game. And it is using the DLC heroes. Because they do get very little benefit from pairing up. They also, they can reclass, and some of them have skills they should not have, which gives them some benefit. It makes them, a lot of them feel like child characters, except they can't support. Which works. The problem is, though, and I know it's something I'm going to run into, the Avatar character and Chrom. I know I'm going to need to use them. I know I need to keep them caught up to everybody else. I can't just ignore them. They're integral to the plot. I mean, I did go out of my way to make my Avatar character male so that he could never reach an S rank support with Chrom. because anytime they're in battle, they basically have to be paired up. Because it's dumb not to. I could leave them separate. I honestly could. And if they ended up standing one square from each other, it would treat them as if they're paired up anyway. I may as well just pair them up. Which is honestly one thing I honestly kind of hate, is that even if the units are standing next to each other, they're technically paired up. Which is really frustrating. Which is why I'm using units that can't support anything. I really wish you could just have turned that off in the settings. Excuse me. I've also... I've poked at the newer Fire Emblems past it, which is how I can say that they've tried to fix the system. They basically changed it so being paired up is a defensive measure, and being standing next to each other is an offensive measure, if I remember correctly. So, like, standing next to each other, you'll have a chance to get an extra attack. Actually, I think it's a guaranteed extra attack. And paired up, you'll have a chance at having an attack blocked. But that still doesn't fly with me. Because it doesn't solve the problem. Especially where they added the fact that weapons don't break. Your weapons breaking is no longer a concern. There's no longer a reason to have more than, like, maybe 2 of each, like, bronze weapon, basically. And if you take the side that I'd be almost willing to bet most people would take, which is the Hoshado, it plays like Awakening. Like, come on, guys. You were so close. So close. But they just couldn't step away from what Awakening did long enough to make the game good. Well, I can't say it's not good. I haven't really played much of it. Like I said, I've poked at it. Mostly because, and I'll admit it, I emulated it. Because I refused to spend over $100 to play a complete game. I refused to do it. If I could buy, if I could buy that complete game for $50, sure, because $59.99 is the average 3DS game cost. I would gladly pay that if I had the money, but I refused to pay over $100 for one completed game. It's just not gonna happen. And I honestly have hope for a Fire Emblem on the Switch. I really do have hope for that. I hope they go back to what's good about the series. But yeah, with that, I thank everyone for watching. I'd like to remind everyone that I do have a Patreon. It is linked down below. Once again, I think I forgot to do that with yesterday's video, the day before yesterday. I'll clean up the descriptions in a second. I just need to finish this first. And with all that, I hope to see you all back next time for more Animal Crossing City Folk. See you all then.